Let me triple up right now on player profiles. So far, you have met a chunk of the field, but I still have 7 heavy hitters. I still have an entire golden ticket class to run down before next Friday. Let's get rolling. A triple set of profiles today, starting with Salty Sarah T in Providence. Now, Sarah T has been a mainstay on the show for a long time now, predominantly as an emailer who once dominated the ATP before switching up her brand to openly thirsting for the regal gentlemen of the NFL. I'm talking about real men. Kurt Warner, Jack Del Rio, Tom Brady, all man, to name a few. It's her lane. She owns it. It's what she's known for. However, she has also picked up the blower on numerous occasions and thrown around some smack with a trademark, instantly recognizable voice that lets you know exactly who she is and where she's from.
Well, today is Kurt Warner's birthday. Happy birthday, handsome. Now, moving on from sunny beaches to sons of bitches. Hey, Dr. Dave, you listening? You know, it's so funny you're a doctor because we have to be nursed back to health after one of your calls. I unwittingly became one of his patients when he blocked me on Twitter this week. By doing so, he technically inoculated me from his baggery. So I guess I'm a patient now. Dave, you need to put a sign out in your waiting room that says the doctor is in to the doctor is incompetent. And by the way, why do doctors always have to let everybody know they're doctors? Hell, if we all went along with that, we'd have to call Cal in Vegas Dishwasher Cal. Oh, by the way, Cal, don't you have any friends? You know, Matt and Van and Mike and Little Rock don't count. They thought they were going to Vegas to meet up with gals. In the jungle pecking order, I am still head hen. I am out.
That was 2017, and you heard her say it. In the jungle pecking order, she is still head hen. Hard to argue when 3 years later, she did rip a golden ticket on this call right here.
Hey, so guess what, buddy? Bobby Brady called. He wants his school monitor armband back. Anyway, Jim, this pandemic is so weird, man. I went to the market yesterday. I felt like I was in Warsaw in 1943. I mean, the meat case had 3 things in it: a block of orange cheese, a giant roll of bologna, and a dead fish with giant bulgy eyes. Ugh, disgusting. But I'd like to give credit where credit is due. Let's shout out to all the clones who are in the medical field. Yay! And when I think of clones in the medical field, I think of one Dr. Dave in Chicago. You know that every day he's right there in the front lines of every curbside takeout restaurant in Illinois. Dave, I'd like to thank you for keeping everybody safe. From your takes, Jim, today is Tom Brady's senior's birthday. I mean, can you imagine siring Tom Brady? God bless you, Mr. Brady. Your sperm is mighty. And you know what? Speaking of Tom Brady, Jim, I do things to him that you wouldn't do to a barnyard animal.
I'm telling you, I don't know if it's the voice or the thirsty bit or the set him up and knock him down one-liners, but I really like Sarah T, and that call did earn her a ticket to last year's Smackoff. The thing about last year's Smackoff is it did not go the way that she wanted it to. It did not go the way that I wanted it to, and I would love to see Sarah try it again. I would just suggest to her and everybody else, be careful. Don't put me in a position and the rest of the XR4TI where we have to interpret kind of a sketchy, ambiguous joke live on the air with no net and no context as to why you're doing it. Like, if you put me in that position, I'm going to err on the side of caution. I got to be responsible here. Anyway, Sarah, I listen to that. I am reminded of how funny you are, how good you are. If you want to run it back in 10 days, let me know. You are welcome, and we would love to have you back, Sarah. Then you've got Dan in Denver. Dan has been in a couple of these things. He had a really impressive finish at Smackoff 25.
Jim, like the Cablinasian hosting a show during the daylight, I'm just happy to be here. Bro, you're the whitest thing in the jungle since Bodie's rapping. And bro, I'm glad to see Chael Perfection Sonnen finally decided to call it quits. Chael, your fight name was Perfection. I'm struggling to see what's perfect about you. Your fighting career, 17 losses. Your Smackoff career, embarrassed in the last 2 Smackoffs. Your body, hell no. Dude, Bellator actually demanded you fight with a shirt on if you fight again. Chael fighting without PEDs is like Lef and Laguna calling today without a gimmick. No shot to win. But, Romy, who the hell chose the Bucks as Milwaukee's mascot? I love how their motto is Fear the Deer. What are you going to do? jump out in front of my vehicle and then stop and stare at my headlights waiting for me to hit you. Brad and Corona, if only your smack last year hit as hard as your nipples were in that photo. Did you rub ice on those things pre-photo, or did they perk up around the end of your call when Vic started shouting your name?
This dude. Now, I haven't heard from this dude in a year, but he did call in last week, and he did let me know that he would be there next Friday, which is good for the jungle, bad for the XR4 Ti.
Hey, I caught the show the other day when you were openly petitioning to find Keith Arnold's replacement. I noticed you said no previous experience required. Boy, that's got to make you feel important, Keith. Keith, you went to Notre Dame and still ended up with a job that didn't require experience. What was this, an internship, a senior project? Are you getting class credits for this stint? Are you leaving for good or just headed home for the summer semester? And Rome, if Albie's the brains of the XR4 Ti, Keith Arnold was the tonsil. We can all see him, but we're not really sure what he does or why he's there. And Keith, I heard you played baseball at Notre Dame in '98. Well, played isn't really the right word, seeing as you had one appearance. One appearance for one inning. What'd you do throughout the ceremonial first pitch? Were you the guy in charge of warming up the right fielder in between innings? Did you shag foul balls and return them to the snack shack?
Damn. Keith took some on his way out the door, didn't he? Not to jam a Mike in Indy clip in the middle of a Dan in Denver profile, but this Mike in Indy soundbite got cut for time this past Friday. And since we're on the subject of Keith, why the hell not just double back and double down and play it anyway?
Rome doesn't exactly have a crew of ass kickers on the other side of that glass. You got Hawk, who threw out his back putting on his shoes. Alvy would just hit the dude, no sound bite, while Keith Arnold takes a hands-off approach just like he does every day at work. This guy works like he's got a guaranteed contract. I haven't seen him do a damn thing since he showed up.
So back to Dan in Denver. I love a guy who's not afraid to go big game hunting, because besides tattooing Keith, he also took a really good run at the 5-time champ, Shawnee.
Look no further than the Cablinasian. He parlayed this thing into his own weekly show. Sean, you host a show once a week that no one listens to. Who are you, the Woodscopes? Sean, you and I both get on CBS Airwaves a couple minutes a week. We're paid about the same, too. And I like how Sean showed up with Carbone last year wearing a Letterman jacket from 2 decades ago, beer guts spilling out the front so it doesn't zip anymore. 10 years between calls. Bro, this isn't a high school reunion. You all but rented a Ferrari for the night. People didn't even recognize you. They just whispered, that's the guy who used to be really good at calling a radio show.
Dan in Denver going off at 13-1 on Stucknut. Could be some value there for a guy making just his third appearance at the main event. Finally, let's wrap this thing up. Matt in Vancouver. You know the deal with the belligerent Nuck. He is one of the 2 most famous reps from Canada. I want him to do as well, as badly as he wants himself to do well. I'm not biased. I just want to prove that Canada can hang. And I know for a fact that Matt in Van can hang. You don't believe me? Just ask, well, you guessed it, Keith Arnold.
Good luck to Keith, man. He's following in a long line of former crew members, moving on to smaller and worse things. Will he end up like Kyle Brandt, oozing fake manufactured enthusiasm for some preseason NFL game? Will he end up like Jay Stu, picking up Rodney Pete's dry cleaning? Will he end up like Doze Mahdi, doing whatever the hell Doze Mahdi's doing? Or maybe he's going to end up like Austin Huff, who actually served me my coffee at Starbucks this morning. Anyway, Keith, good luck with one of the worst decisions of your life.
That was an incredible grenade that took out like 5 people. And it's not the first time that Matt and Van has piled up a long body count in a short period of time.
Smackoff season is upon us. Time to weed out the frauds, my man. Namely Dan in Denver, who I called out for being a cowardly punk bitch over a month ago. We still haven't heard a peep from him. I rest my case. And nice to see a cute little gif from Left in Laguna, the Laguna Beach belly. Guess this freak's too busy swapping Q-tip techniques with Andrew Siciliano and Adam Silver to call the show front-running bag. And as for this gas bag Rick in Buffalo, Rick, you look like an angry, screaming human penis, man, mixing a baseball cap.
So my man clearly has the regular season chops. We all know this. I've got to see him put it together when it matters most. When it matters most.
I'm taking this Canada heat personally, Rome. I'm a perpetual road team. I'm outmanned. I'm outgunned. But I wouldn't want it any other damn way. Rick's just the jungle's version of a mall cop. a fat loser who garners no respect at all, but his pepper spray makes him feel like a tough guy. I don't know if this Drizzle guy is good or not, but I do know Drizzle is the stupidest name I've ever heard. Ducknut, this 40-year-old loser has done nothing but record your content for 20 years and put it on his own website. It's pathetic. Your boss, Eric Spitz, female viewership has jumped no less than 900%. And hey, Mona, we're going to win you over, baby. You'll be Team Canada soon enough. War Reggie in the OC going full Reese McGuire during his calls. Cal in Vegas is a deluded, psychotic, hooker-addicted moron. Adam Hawk, who is such an insufferable D-bag that everyone not named Alvin has quit for far worse jobs. Mark in Boston, Tony Saragusa pimping Mans Depends thinks you need to clean your act up. Wartan in Denver using a shaken-up soda bottle as a bidet. And I know you said numerous times Mark in Boston could win a smack-off. And, man, you're right. If Les, Vic, Mike, Chael, Benny, Tyler, and myself all pass away before the smack-off, then Mark in Boston sure as hell has a chance. Can we get Jeff a liver smoothie and go ahead and send him the hell away again? Damn, man. And his palatial estate in Virginia. I think we know that was about 10 years in a supermax federal penitentiary for sex crimes, Jeff. The only memorable thing Dan has done in the last year is get his ass knocked out by my guy Big Daddy Beat in Studio City with a truck stop hooker bum sex blast. Hey, Rick, everybody is sick of you, and you're uglier than the new bowling ball working for Rome. The only item on our shared calendar, Corona, is Mrs. Corona's scheduled Northern Sando. Kyle, son, I'm Peyton Manning, and you're the trainer, and I'm dropping D's right on your forehead. War Canada's comeback. Peace!
That's the heat that I'm looking for on the 25th. From Matt, from Dan, from Sarah T. And while we're on the topic of the smack-off, this is a memo to the entire field who plans to show up on that day. Find a hard line. Find a hard line. Find a phone that plugs into the wall. Find a phone whose only function is to be a phone. Sound quality is so important. You can have the best call in the world, but if we do not understand it or we have to work to decipher it, it's utterly worthless. I'm going to call some people out right now. I'm talking to everybody but especially Jeff in Southfield, Caleb in Green Bay, Mark in Boston, Cal in Vegas, Matt in Van, Dan in Denver, Tyler in Edmonton, CJ in the Bay, all of you. There's been issues with all of your phone lines. Get a hard line. Get on the best phone possible. Do not call on a cell phone. It's the 5 minutes. 5 minutes of the most important on-air real estate in the game. Do not leave any of this to chance. Do not risk it with crappy cell service. Really important advice. Pay heed. That and the fact that we are now 10 days, 8 shows out. Then it's here. Let's do this damn thing. All right, smack off 27, $5,000 to the winner, and some valuable real estate on Cruz Pedregon's rig.